So you want to breathe life into your old iMac or MacBook. So you consider to install Sonoma. Is it worth it? Well, let's find out. So we're booted from the USB. Somehow or another I just missed several steps. Anyway, we're going to put Sonoma on from the flash drive to the external SSD, not the internal hard drive, so that we can keep our internal hard drive for backup reasons and storage. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so Sonoma did successfully install, but before we boot into that, I wanted to show you something interesting. This is the native Ventura installation on the internal hard drive. And then I have, this is the one that I don't use because the internal hard drive is so slow. This is just the one that's built in the computer. And then I have an SSD, as I showed in the other video, where you plug it in the back. And it's on USB 3.0 right now, and then eventually I'm going to convert that to USB-C to make it faster, but it's been fine. So I'm completely happy with the Ventura install, and actually I was happy with Monterey. Like I said, I'm new to this, so these newer versions of macOS, I don't really get what the differences are and stuff like that, and anything that's new is cool to me. And so I was happy with this, but what you might be wondering, why did I have to install Sonoma when I didn't really care about it? And it's because I had to download Xcode, which is here, Xcode, so that I could start working on an app for a friend of mine. And I didn't know you couldn't download just a regular version of it. I actually downloaded Xcode 13, which is not the latest version, and that was supposed to work on Ventura, but I guess it doesn't. I could be totally wrong. Maybe I should have gotten 12, I don't know. But I thought 13 would work. I unzipped the file and it says it won't run. It requires version 14, which is Sonoma. So I said, okay, that's fine. I don't really care about Sonoma, but I can install it using the Opencore. And then in the earlier part of the video, you saw that I kind of struggled with that. But the reason why I'm recording this before we boot into Sonoma, I want to show you a couple of things. Number one, if you boot into Sonoma, or let's say you have somebody has an extra computer that would allow you to log into Sonoma, and because if you try to download Xcode from the App Store, it's going to say you need Sonoma. But since I've already been in Sonoma, and I've already downloaded it on the Sonoma installation, see, now I can download it. See here? So when it has that little cloud, instead of it saying get, I can now download Xcode on my Ventura installation. So I don't really need Sonoma. And that's how you work around getting the different versions. I guess I must have done something wrong here. But since Sonoma's there and it's on a bigger SSD than the one that I had, I'm going to play with it and see what the differences are. But I just wanted to point out that now that it's been downloaded before, you no longer need Sonoma. You can just download whatever version you have here. And that's good, because if Sonoma suddenly just stopped working one day, I could easily just go back to the native installation and use it that way, as long as you make sure that the files are shareable between drives. Okay, the other thing that's weird is this, the Radeon Pro 555, which is the internal GPU for the dedicated graphics for this computer. It shows up differently in Sonoma. So that's weird. And so now I'm not going to do this right now. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and boot into Sonoma. and I'll show you that it works. So we'll be back in 1 second. So here is Sonoma installed, and fun fact, because it upgraded and a different installation that I had, it didn't require me to put in a 4-digit password, so I can still just use the 1-digit, which I prefer. And the boot time on external SSD was about, I didn't time it, I would guess about 45 seconds. Pretty respectable, not really super fast, but faster than the internal hard drive. But so I'm in Sonoma, and this is not my old setup, so I have to kind of transfer the files over, but everything looks kind of normal. I was worried about the display brightness thing not working, and I really haven't tested this yet. But here, this is the first interesting thing that I noticed. So when I go to About Mac now, instead of saying AMD Radeon Polaris 5, or I'm sorry, it said AMD Radeon 555, 2 GB. Now it says AMD Radeon Polaris. So I guess it doesn't really say what kind, like which number it is anymore. It's just the chip. And I'm curious if this is... Is this metal compatible? I'll have to try that and see. But the main thing is we wanted to run Xcode, and see now it's natively supported and it runs. I haven't used it yet, but it runs. The thing I don't get is why. I really don't understand. Now, people put Sonoma on now like 2009 MacBooks, which I think doesn't make sense. I mean, it's funny and cool to do that, but you know, the hardware can't support it. But this is a 2017 iMac with a 3 GHz quad core i5 and a 2 GB dedicated GPU. So why can it not run Sonoma? I don't know. It's just, Apple kills me with this every time when they just make it not work for no real good reason. This should have been supported. And then I went to look up the differences of Sonoma versus Ventura. I guess there's things I don't really know, but there was one cool thing I noticed. You can take your widgets and just put them here. And they're just kind of floating. I guess it's like an iPad kind of, right? And this, at first, this sounds like a dumb feature, but if I was going to be on the computer all day, this would be nice. Not even sure if Windows does that. See how it, and then you can watch this. So you put this here, okay, and then this, it'll snap. Look, boom. So instead of Windows where, you know, you would just have everything kind of floating around like that, they can be connected. So I like that. I think I could definitely get used to that. I would go back to the Ventura, but I'm going to see if I can live in Sonoma and see if there's any potential issues. But so far, it's working. This is just my first, actually the first time I've actually ever tried it. And see, yeah, that's, I mean, it's not slow. Everything's pretty snappy. I don't have Chrome on here yet, but let's just try YouTube. It's pretty fast, actually. Let's see, try searching. Sonoma.
And but a world with no limits.
The volume works and the brightness works. The brightness works. We'll do a 4K video. Let's try 4K. Let's go here. Let's do 4K in a window. I mean, it's smooth. Look. I wonder if it would be nice if you could make the widget stay on the top. I'm not sure if that's an option. I used to like that, but let's see, 4K. That is very smooth. 4K, this is on Wi-Fi. Let's just do a quick speed test. We should be getting around 50 to 100 megabytes. Let's see. Oh, Jesus, 300. Wow. 300 megabytes. I'm like on the opposite side of the house of the Wi-Fi. That's one of the things with the newer iMacs. They seem to have better Wi-Fi. That 300, wow, it's crazy. So yeah, I mean, I really didn't have any desire to put Sonoma on here, but seeing how well it runs, and keep in mind that this is on a external SATA SSD, which is going to be around 500 megabytes per second. And then if I upgrade to the NVMe style of USB-C external enclosure, I'll probably get at least 1,000. So, wow, I think if you have a 2017 iMac, you should probably try this. And then just keep your original drive as the backup. And if anything ever goes wrong, if the patch stops working one day, you can just go back to where you started. But yeah, I was wrong about Sonoma. I thought it was stupid, but it's actually quite nice. Let me know what you think. And we might try and put Sonoma on... What do we have? The 2014 is the last one that I have left. Might try that. See how it runs, but 2017 definitely can run Sonoma, and it's very, very smooth. So we'll see ya.